Ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome to the Reliability U podcast with Brett Scott and Adam Lunt, where we talk about all things reliability. Stay tuned. Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Reliability U podcast, where we're going to talk about all things reliability, just kind of have a chat, have a little fireside conversation, if you want to call it that. We're going to talk about everything reliability wise, as far as, things we see that are working, give some opinions, give some insight, things we've seen over the years, things that work, things that don't, and everyone can kind of share in the joy. I'm Adam Lunt, one of your hosts. With me, my friend Brett Scott, and I use the term friend loosely, but you know, Brett is a proverbial wealth of knowledge. He's a well of things that, all things reliability are going to really come to head. And he's always a guy you can reach out to and ask questions to. He's been around a long damn time, so
Making
he
me
can
blush,
definitely.
buddy.
Well, hey, you look blushing. It's under that beard, right? So where are you at this week, Brett?
I am in Dallas teaching a vibration class this week. So, some new
Oh,
guys
lucky
out
you.
there getting some training on some very useful vibration related data. So,
Okay. Okay.
how about you?
How many
What's
guys
up
you
for
got in the
you?
class?
What's that?
How many guys you got in the class this week?
About 10 people in class this week. It's typically closer to 20, kind of depends on the location where we're at and what kind of class we're doing. We do, of course, Cat 1, Cat 2. We do lubrication training too. So depends on the
Okay.
class, but usually 20, but this week 10, which is a nice kind of intimate group. Makes it kind of fun. And
Thanks for.
I mean, when you're at a place like this, you get people from all different industries, and it makes it kind of fun because you got people from grain milling, like what we're used to being in the
Right.
Midwest. You got people from uh, various other industries, like even nuclear stuff. So
Really
you get a good mix. So that's
awesome.
fun.
So hopefully with only 10 guys, it'll be a little bit of an early out for you. A
Yeah,
couple of the
right.
nights.
Yeah, that's what we
Get
hope. That's what we hope. But
get the guys your class soon. So yeah, as how long you been training now, Brett?
I've been training. It kind of depends. I've started kind of in a weird way to where I was kind of asked to go hit various different sites and do some on the job type training. So the training I'm doing now is a little bit different than what I used to do. When I started, it was go. This guy's got a new data collector or an infrared camera. Go with this guy. Teach him how to use the tool and get out of there. Now it's kind of
So
more of
more
a
of a
classroom
so
situation.
more of a buttonology thing.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's actually a word,
Yeah.
but
That's
you
how I
get the point.
started. Exactly. And I'm sure
Okay.
you're kind of used to that too.
I
People
am.
have a tool and they want to know how to use it because too many times we see it where somebody buys a tool and it gets put on a shelf and they forget about it and they're like, "Oh yeah, we should probably train our people how to use this thing." And it sits on the shelf collecting dust. And that's where we come in. We can say, "Hey, I'll teach you how to remember how to use this thing again." And that's kind of how it
Yeah.
started. But now it's more of a classroom setting, which is easier for me because I don't have to climb ladders. I don't have to go out in the plant and get dirty. It's pretty nice.
Right. If I had a nickel for every time I found a zero Halliburton case with about a quarter inch of dust on top of
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and
right.
people going, we don't even know what that thing is. It was in the office when I took
Yeah,
the job.
yeah. So and so
It's
showed up on site and he's like, "Hey, you're going to start using these tools," and they're like, "Oh,
right.
cool, that sounds great." And then it gets put away and nobody sees it again. And,
Yeah.
or the guy that got trained is like, "Well, that's cool, but I'm retiring tomorrow, so all that knowledge is gone." So
Yeah.
constant need for this
It-
training.
and I can't remember where I read it, but it was somewhere here relatively recently that they were saying on average, and not just in our industry, but just industry wide, 30,000 baby boomers a day are retiring.
Yeah, this industry, we're losing people all the time. I see it nonstop. Where even some of the people in the training I'm doing now, I'm training them, and I'm thinking, "You're kind of aging out of this thing, and it's about time for you to
Yeah.
go." So it's like, who's going to take it up when you're gone? And that's always a constant issue.
And you look at all, I'm not going to say all, but you look at the vast majority of the newer tools that are coming out in any aspect of, maintenance or reliability. Everything's going to this, uh, iPad tablet
Yeah.
based thing, which I love because it's really directed towards the people coming into the positions. Because the old school guys, and they had their own, um, and I'm not for one second downplaying their ability of the craft. That's not it at all. It was just a different way of doing things. But like talking about like alignment, for example, I mean, all the new alignment tools they're touchscreen, tablet
Yeah.
based. If you can run an iPad, you can run the alignment tool. Now, obviously, there's still some background that you need to understand how an alignment works and things like that. But as far as the tool interface, the GUIs on these things are so user friendly now.
Yeah.
I'm hard pressed, and I probably on average I would say do two alignment trainings a week on average, and it's pretty damn rare that I run into a guy that has actually done dial indicator alignments. And I was asked that question, and you'll have a handful of guys because they want to seem like they're you know knowledgeable and blah, blah. They're like, yeah, we've done it. And then you start talking about bar sag and the validity rule, and they look at you with this blank stare, like, we don't know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. It's
Well,
like, you've never actually done it. Then you read a book on dial indicators.
absolutely. Or they've got this nice laser alignment tool that they bought, they spent a lot of money on, and maybe even they got some training on, but they forget about like
Yeah.
soft foot. Simple things about
Right.
like before we do the alignment, let's make sure there's no soft foot. It's a common thing I see like all the time. And I mean, and I always like when I'm doing classes, I try to say we're vendor neutral. I want to not necessarily promote one technology or one brand over
Sure.
another. But there's some that just do a better job of that and make sure that, I'm doing the soft foot check first, and that's important. But I
And,
mean, the
and
thing is too, also, you think about they spend all this money on those tools, and like if you don't have the right training for it either, it's a tool that you can abuse and you can get bad data out of, and you're stuck
oh,
back in the
100%.
same place.
No, you couldn't be more right. And I see the amount of money that people spend on tools is astronomical. And I'm glad they're doing it because they need them. I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm not downplaying that at all. But if you're not going to invest in the training as well, you bought a paperweight.
Yeah.
And not only is that tool, and like you had alluded to, not only is the tool not going to give you good information, people are lulled into this false sense of security,
Yeah.
and it
I got,
actually gives you contradictory
yeah.
data, if anything.
Hey, we got the tool. We should be good, right? Well, no, not if you're misusing the tool. So, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
And when you were talking about softfoot, that brings up, and I mean, I don't want to get too far up into the weeds on like specifics on technologies because, you know, we got a lot of podcasts to come and a lot of topics to cover,
Yeah.
um, and I think these will become more pointed topics as we come along with the guests and blah, blah, blah we have coming up. But one thing that I've noticed with softfoot, and I just want to throw this out there, is every reputable being the key word, alignment tool manufacturer out there has a soft foot feature
Sure.
built into it, a soft foot check. And now I'm not going to say every alignment tool because you can get like the super low end budget ones, which definitely have their place in industry. I'm not downplaying them, but you can go get those, the throwaway commodity
Yeah.
tools. But if you go out and buy a reasonably established brand or whatnot, and you get it. They all have a softfoot program built into it. But at the end of the day, the heads, depending on if it's a dual laser, single laser, whatever, they're mounted to the shaft.
Yeah.
How are they measuring the foot?
Yeah.
They're measuring vertical deflection at the coupler, but you have to keep in mind the coupler is installed. So any movement you have, it's pulling that stationary with it. So you're already, some of the accuracy is being diminished right there.
Good
And then on
point.
top of that, the calculations that the tool's making to figure out how much soft foot there is based on how far it is from coupling center to back motor foot, blah, 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 is based on measurements you gave it with a tape measure.
Yeah.
And we're talking, well, in the US, we deal in mils or thousands. And it's shocking to me also, sidebar, how many people don't realize that's the same thing.
Yeah.
I've had guys ask me 100 times, how do you put this in thousands?
Yeah.
It is. Well,
Yep.
it says mils. Yeah,
Yep.
dude, same thing,
Guess what? Same thing.
Um,
Yep.
because I argue, they're like, why do you call it a mil? And I'm like, because 2.5 thousands isn't proper English. It's
Yeah.
25
Yeah.
10,000. So, not to go down that, but but I think people rely too much on that softfoot program, and I think the softfoot program works excellent as a verification tool that you're within an acceptable parameter
Sure.
to do the alignment. But softfoot, excuse me, should always, 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 no if ands or buts, be checked with feeler gauges.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't care how much you spend on an alignment tool. And people are like, "Hey, man, I just spent $30,000, $20,000, $40,000, whatever on this tool. That should do it for me." Well, it's a tool.
It is.
I
Yeah.
mean, what do you want it to do? Turn the wrench for you also?
Right.
I mean, at some point, treat it as a tool. But anyway, I don't want to go down, but I'm going to make a note here. We need to talk, grabbing my pen, something to talk about later.
Yeah, well,
But
I gotta say we could keep going, but yeah,
pitfalls
no,
in
I
alignment,
totally agree. That can be in the future, but yeah, I have lots to say about softfoot because I've seen it
100%.
too many times. But yeah,
We could probably
absolutely,
do a 3 hour podcast on softfoot.
that's very possible. We could, yeah.
So,
Now
so
we might
well,
bore
well,
everybody that's listening to this shit for
hey, you're
but
gonna look on the camera because my luck, you'll be in like Phoenix and I'll be in
right,
Wichita, and you'll look on the camera and I'm gonna be asleep in the chair because I'm
right.
like, you're boring
As
me,
I'm like,
dude.
uh-oh,
This is.
yeah, look what happened here. Yep. Ah, damn it. Nope. It
By the
happened.
way, have you had Cedar Ridge? Have you had it?
Yeah, oh yeah. I like Cedar Edge. Yeah.
I love Iowa. I love everything
There you
about
go.
Iowa, and I love
Yeah.
their bourbon. But
Why do you love Iowa? Are you from there or something?
I might be. I might be in Iowa right now. I'm actually sitting for once. I'm actually in my home office. It's
There you
kind
go.
of nice.
Yeah, I
I
thought I
don't get a whole
recognized
lot
the
of time
background.
here. Yeah, kids are upstairs doing whatever kids do, and I told my wife, I said I'm going to be indisposed for about an hour and doors shut. I need one of those little. Remember, Uncle Jesse had the recording light on Full House.
Yeah, yeah.
That came up. I need one of those.
Oh
You know,
man,
it's like lights
callback.
on.
Man, callback. Uncle Jesse, Full House, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
classic.
It was great, great,
But yeah, we
absolutely great.
digress. It's fun to do so, but yeah,
Right. So anyway, let's get back. So more of anything, the whole point in this is we're going to have some great guests coming up. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've got without looking through my emails, I probably got 8 guys already lined up that are very ingrained in reliability, everywhere from trainers to maintenance managers to reliability managers. And the whole point of us getting together here is um, full disclosure, in case you haven't noticed by looking at us, Brett and I are not the experts on anything.
whoa,
Um,
whoa.
I know
Yeah,
it's
no,
hard to believe,
he's right. We're not.
but we've spent a lot of time in the field. We've learned a lot from mistakes that we've made. We've learned a lot from other people that we've got to work with over the years. I've learned a lot from people that are actually quite a bit younger than me.
Yeah,
That it's like, I've just never run into that specific
yeah,
instance before. Because and correct me at any point, I spent the majority of my service career in corn milling. I think you did as well.
yep. A
Not
lot of
all,
times.
but
Yep.
the vast majority. And you're used to seeing certain processes, certain pieces of equipment, certain ways of doing things. I'm not going to say all those ways were correct. I'm not going to say all of them were wrong, but you just get accustomed to a certain way of doing things. And then when I transitioned over into the position I'm in now, to where I get to go out and one day I'm at a electric motor shop, next day I'm at a chemical plant, next day I'm at a steel mill. You
Yep.
never know where we're going to be. It really opens up your eyes to a bunch of other things that you didn't even know
Oh hell yeah.
were out there.
Yep.
And like, well, a perfect point of reference, and this happened to me just late last week. It was Thursday, Friday. So, good friend of mine, Colin Mann. Colin is a vibration analyst for Ludeca. Um, Colin's
Shout out.
35.
Yeah.
Shout out to Colin. But no, Colin's like 4, 5, 6 years younger than I am. And I'm like listening to him talking, is like, dude, I'm learning a ton from you.
Yeah.
Of course I'm not going to tell him that
No,
because
no.
I want him to be like,
You
no,
got to
dude, you're
earn
an
it,
idiot.
right?
But
You got to earn that.
yeah, you gotta earn your place. And then some of the other guys, have been in the industry for years and years and years. Mark Kincaid is a perfect example.
Guy's been
Every
around a
time I
long
talk to
time.
Mark, I learn something from that guy.
Very smart dude.
Mar-
Yep.
Mark's forgotten more about vibration than I've ever known.
Yep.
So there's a lot of guys out there that
Hopefully a
you
guest
can
at one
learn it.
point.
What's that?
Hopefully a guest at one point.
Oh, well, that would be great. Hopefully that shout out to Mark Kincaid was enough to get
Exactly.
him on, right?
Come on, buddy.
Um, but a lot of these guys, it's like the things you can learn from them and the way that I became acquainted with them over the years is interesting at least, or at best, depending on how you want to look at it. But a
Sure.
lot of these guys, I stumbled across them because, I'm not going to go into the whole backstory, but my dad worked maintenance and reliability for Cargill for 21 years, retired in 2005. So I know a lot of these guys from, Fourth of July barbecues at my dad's house. And,
I see myself that way.
dad's going fishing with these guys and stuff like this. And I'm just a little guy, and I learned a lot from these guys, not even knowing that because, of course, I'm a, punk kid. I'm going to be a rock star, playing a band, all that. And I still enjoy playing in a band. Don't get me wrong. I still do that to this day, but it's not a career. It's a hobby.
Ah,
This is my career. And this is something that I truly do feel. I know I love this more than anything. There's parts of reliability that just the I don't want to call them standards, but just the way that it's always been. And my two biggest pet peeves in life are people that try to sing along with the radio and don't know the fucking words.
oh, come on.
Drives
Well, that's me occasionally.
drives me
Sorry.
af- drives me absolutely nuts. And the second is people that say that's because that's how we've always done it.
Exactly. Me too.
All you just told me is you've been doing it wrong forever,
Exactly.
and you're somehow comfortable with that. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of things within reliability and within PDM technologies and within maintenance even that are not done correctly, but it's just an accepted way of doing things because that's how it's always been done.
Yep.
So, um, I'm not going to say that, we're going to run in here with flaming swords and change the culture,
No.
but for people need to realize that it exists so they can combat it. It's
Yeah.
kind of like pipe strain on a pump. Can you can you always fix pipe strain? Probably not. Sometimes you can, but the vast majority of times you can't. You
Yeah.
can't get a line break, you can't shut it down, blah blah blah. But you need to know it exists so you can work
Exactly.
around it. And it's the same deal with these incorrect ways of doing things because that's how my dad did it and that's how his
Yeah.
dad did it. And why do we change our oil at 3,000 miles?
Yeah.
Well, because that's my dad changed his oil at
That's
3,000
what
miles.
Dad said.
Well,
Yeah.
the oil ain't bad. I can promise you that. I'm not saying it's not dirty. It might not have some contaminants or some water or something like that, but the oil is not bad. End of story. And I'll die on that hill.
Well, on that
It,
note, I had access when I worked at Wichita State to an oil analysis lab. And that's exactly what I did was I've got access to this lab. So every time I change my oil, Dad told me every 3,000 miles, change your oil. And I did that religiously. Well, okay, maybe I didn't. I missed a few times. But the
you
fact of the
tried.
matter is, that's what he told me, and that's what I was shooting for. And when I
Yeah.
didn't, though, and I got to that oil lab, I'm like, I should test this. I've got access to these awesome machines. So when I changed my oil, I went at 3,000 miles. I pulled a sample while I was changing the oil, just captured it while I was coming out, ran it through
Hmm.
the lab, and I'm like, okay, I see the levels I'm at. I'm like, you know what? Next time I'm going to 4,000. Next time I'm going to 5,000. And I did that. And after a while, I realized the car I had at that point, I could get to about 6,000, maybe even 6,500 miles before the levels that I saw start increasing. I realized, you know what? Dad had a good point. You should change every
Right.
3,000, but I could actually go a little bit further. And yeah, but
And,
but
and
but
don't even
it,
give me.
it goes back to what you said of like people's level of acceptance of failure. That's what always amazes me is people get into this rhythm of they say, well, you know what? We change these bearings about every year, and we're
Right.
okay with that. And I'll go to another site with the exact same equipment and I'll say, how long do you get out of these? And they're like, oh, we get 3 to 4 years out of them. And I'm like, okay, somebody's wrong. Who's wrong? And the guys that are changing them every year, the thing is, they've got used to a certain level of failure and they're okay with it. Does it mean it's right? It's the same thing you said. Doing it,
Yeah.
we've been doing the same way for years and it works. Does it work or could you get more out of this thing? And that's the whole point is, you
Yeah.
know what? I've seen so many times where a slight change, we teach these classes of you're here and world class is here. How do I get from here to here? You're not going to do it in a step. It takes lots of things to get there. But if I can show you this is where you're at and this is where you could be,
Mm,
you're not going to make that step in one leap. You're going to have to
no,
take steps, but it gives you a
it's baby
target to
steps.
work for. And that's the whole thing. People get this acceptance of certain amount of failure and they're so used to it. They're okay with it. And they're like, oh, things are great here. Are they though? Or could it be better? And that really, this whole podcast, that's kind of what we're going for on this
Yeah.
is let's make the connections between the people that are here and the people that are here and say, hey, let's talk to each other. Let's prove that
Yeah.
this stuff works because it does. And
And,
you and I both
and
know
it's
it.
real. It is real world stuff. It's not like these, I'm not one that's going to read a textbook and tell you laboratory conditions state blah blah blah. No, this is real world. There's times,
Yeah.
I'll use alignment again as an example, and this is the last time. You want 2,000ths or less of soft foot, but come on,
Yeah.
we've seen the plants some of these things are in. I mean, we would love to get it to 2,000ths,
Yeah.
but if you can
Absolutely.
get four, we're probably going to let it go.
Yeah.
You know, um, and the other thing is, so uh, prior to my reliability life, I worked in the automotive industry for 9 years or so, and so I use a lot of automotive analogies, and people will say like I worked at a dealership, you got a quick lube running through the thing, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to change my oil at 3,000 miles." Well, it doesn't need it, and even anymore, the newer vehicles, they have that oil life monitoring
Sure.
tells you the percentage. So people are like, well, I'm going to change it at 3,000 miles. And you're like, man, you still got 65% left on your oil life. Well, what's it going to hurt? Well, obviously, you have to play politics here a little bit because as a dealership employee, I can't tell you this. But what it can hurt, outsider looking in, is well, it doesn't hurt anything to change an oil or change it early, other than let's say you have a head gasket leaking.
Yeah.
You just literally flushed all the evidence down the drain. What if the quick lube guy who's making, less than minimum wage and doesn't want to be there,
Doesn't care.
double gaskets your filter, cross threads your drain plug, forgets to put oil back in it,
That happens?
forgets to put the fill cap back. I've seen it happen more than once.
Hmm.
I've got
Weird.
phone calls from people because wheels fell off of cars after tire
Yep.
rotations. So yes, it happens, and that is the dirty little bitch we call infant mortality,
Yep.
and it's something that we have to avoid at all costs. But it all goes back to the adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And
Absolutely.
by don't fix it, I mean don't mess with it. Just leave
Yeah.
it alone. But anyway, backing up a little bit, the whole point of podcast numero uno, I know that was two fingers, but it was two
Okay.
words.
Yeah. Fair
Um,
enough.
just introduce ourselves and what we're going after. And I
Good
think
point.
Brett, you struck the nail right on the head on what we're going for.
Yeah.
What's the goal here? We want to bring other people on. There's a bunch of great organizations out there where people can get together and collaborate. Some of them are industry specific. You've got like the Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Conference and Team M3 for the ethanol industry. We've got SMRP for the overall,
Absolutely. Yeah.
reliability side. Oh, by the way, speaking of reliability, have I shown you my Ramesh Gulati bobblehead?
I don't think I've seen that before, but that is amazing.
That's that's a gift from Paul Crocker, the reliability Sherpa, right there.
Awesome.
But anyway, he gives me a check. He stares at me all day while I'm working on my desk. Um,
Keep you in line.
but
That's good.
anyway, yeah, it doesn't work. But I want to, I definitely want to just kind of point out why we're doing this, what the point is, and we just want another place where people can come together. And listeners of the podcast, I want you to know that, if you have certain topics you want to discuss, certain people you think we should bring on, if you think that we're dead wrong, please let us know.
Yeah.
If you think, nope, that's a great point, I hadn't thought of it like that. I don't want this to be a Yelp review where the only time you're reviewing us is when we screw up. I'd
Yeah.
like to hear the
Don't do
good
that. Don't be that
also,
guy.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be that Karen at the Phillies game. Don't
Exactly. Don't be that guy.
don't be her.
But by all
But we
means, let
we
us know if we're wrong because
but let us
my
know.
favorite saying is jack of all trades, master of none. I feel like we're pretty close to that. I would say, and what I usually say in classes is I'm jack of all trades, master of none. However, I am pretty close to master on a few things, but I don't like to use the term professional or, like
Right.
expert because it's kind of getting in a gray area. But you know, we've done this a long time, both of us between each other. We've had all these conversations before with each other in various different locations, having a few beers, whatever. This is a good chance, though, for people to chime in and say, here's my 2 cents. Let me
Right.
add some stuff because the industries we come from are fairly similar. We've been similar backgrounds, but
Sure.
we want to have people on here that have different backgrounds and we learn some stuff from because to be honest, nobody's a freaking expert in this field.
No.
This field is really hard to be an actual expert. I know some people that are pretty damn smart, and I would recommend highly to answer some questions that maybe there you go, that maybe
Like
I can't
Ramesh.
answer. But I'll tell you, we between the two of us, it's kind of I think I don't know what movie that was, but he says between me and my brother, we know everything. And if you ask me a question, I don't know the answer. Well, that's one my brother knows. Well, that's you. You're my brother on this field. If they ask me a question
Aw.
I don't know, it's going to be you. And actually, if you don't know, well, then it's that other guy we don't know. But we do.
Yeah. And you and I have built quite a Rolodex of contacts over the years too.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's the beauty is if somebody asks a question and legitimately between you and I, I don't know. I am never going to try to
Yeah,
buffalo somebody or bullshit them.
I'm gonna tell you, I
That's
don't know.
I'm just gonna tell you, that's a great question.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I'm gonna find you an answer. But one thing I will promise you, I know a guy that knows the
yeah,
answer.
no kidding. Yeah, exactly. Between the
You know,
two of us,
I don't know what the answer is.
we can find somebody that could probably
Yeah,
find the answer. We know some
but
people.
let's learn together, as I guess what I'm saying. And we're
Absolutely.
more than anything, we are just a vessel. The whole Reliability U podcast is a vessel to get the conversation going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And and we fully expect this conversation, and we hope it does continue afterwards. We want you to listen to the podcast, and then after the podcast is over, take that information back to work the next day or whatever it is and say, hey, I was listening to these two dipshits on this podcast and they brought up this specific point. I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let
I
us
want
know.
you to go out in the field and prove us wrong.
Yeah.
And then
Let's
show
see
me
it.
the data so we can all learn together.
Let's see it. Yeah. Because it's
You know,
not a matter of let's see it because we think we're right and we're so smart. It's let's see it because let's learn together. Exactly what you said. We want to learn
there's
together.
no egos here.
We're just starting the conversation. We're, as
Yep.
you said, I'll use your terms. We're dipshits. Maybe. I mean,
Well,
let's
it's not
leave.
my term, it's the actual term for what we are.
Okay, well, fair enough. But let's let people chime in. Let's learn from each other
Yeah.
and let's get this conversation started. And let's have people on here that do know more than what we know. Tell us
Yeah.
about that stuff. But yeah, lots
And
of
like you
opportunities.
said, think of talent in the reliability field as a time waveform.
Okay,
You've got peaks, you've got valleys.
sure.
The peaks are the expert, the valleys are the idiots.
Yeah.
We're the RMS.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at this.
Excellent. I love it. Yeah.
We are not a peak anywhere along
Yeah.
that. But I feel like we're knowledgeable or experienced enough. Maybe knowledgeable is not even the word, but we've at least been around long enough to get it
Yeah.
that we can speak intelligently and at least we know how to ask the question. Because and this is a topic for a future episode, which I want to talk about AI in the workplace. But one thing about AI is, and this isn't even AI and reliability, this is just AI in general. The reason that AI fails the majority of the time is because people don't know how to ask AI the question.
Sure.
You have to know how to interact with AI.
Yeah.
Where if you have zero experience whatsoever with a technology or a section, whether it be PM optimization or ultrasound or whatever, and you have a question on it, if you don't know the phraseology, don't know the terms, blah, 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 you can't even ask the question intelligently to get your answer. And we're hoping to get you to that level.
Yeah.
Just be able to ask those questions to an actual expert who is not us.
Yeah.
Which is why, here, shameless plug, we launched the Reliability U Thinkific website where we have some phenomenal training. Now, like take Cat 1 vibration, for example. Brett does Cat 1 training in his other life. Well, with that, you still need to know how to ask those questions and how to take the course and blah blah blah. So we have I'm going to call it a Cat 1 prep course.
Sure. Yeah.
Would that be the best way to
Yeah,
put
that's
it?
fair.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's a category 1 prep course. It doesn't get you a category 1, but it's a great like 4 or 5 hour online segmented video series you can take with some quizzes throughout it, to where when you come out at the end of the quiz, no, you don't have a Cat 1, but at least when you go into your Cat 1, we're all talking the same language.
Exactly. Yeah. Get your
And
prepped. Yeah.
and that's and we're just trying to do that. And we do that with, MLT, MLA. We do that with infrared. We can do it with ultrasound. We create custom classes for people along the way. So I think my dad's always told me, and one thing I've always taken to heart is, just because you have a sharp knife doesn't make you a surgeon. And I love
Good
that
quote.
phrase.
Good quote.
If you look on my LinkedIn page, that is my quote on my LinkedIn page. Because even though, as my career, I sell reliability and maintenance tools and solutions, both, not just tools, but we sell the full gamut. But I'm still not going to be one of those sales guys, because I don't know. It's pretty evident I'm not a salesman. Just from, you listen to me for 5 minutes, it's pretty clear this guy, couldn't talk himself out of a wet paper bag. But I feel like
Your
I
words,
come
not
from
mine.
enough background, well, but I can speak to the product from a technical level,
Yeah.
or whatever the solution may be. So with that, I still urge people, just because you went out and bought the Cadillac of tools, whatever that may be, this is not going to be a brand specific sales pitch by any stretch.
Yeah.
But just because you went out and bought the Cadillac of tools, if you don't take the investment, and the investment can be monetary or it can be time or a combination thereof,
Yep.
to use the tool properly and learn how to use it, you just wasted all that money.
Yeah.
You have to make the investment to train the guys that are going to be using it. Excuse me, guys and gals.
Yeah.
I need to,
Good point.
be polite there. Yeah, I got to be proper, and I shouldn't say that. But how many times I've seen people go out and they'll buy, you know, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 worth of tools, and never take any time or make any investment, whether it be time or financial or a combination thereof, to get the craft trained on how to use them.
Yeah.
And then just going back to this zero Halliburton case sitting in the office. Now, a lot of times that happens because people didn't even know they owned it, but nonetheless, you end up full circle,
Well,
same result. So,
perfect example is with like airborne ultrasound when you're looking for air leaks. I don't know how many
mhm,
times I've done an inspection for a company and said, "Here's how much you could save if you fix these leaks," and they're like, "Awesome! Look how much we saved." No, you didn't save anything
yeah,
yet.
could save,
This is what you
could
could
save,
save.
potential
If you
savings.
go out and actually fix this, you could save it. Same thing when you buy a tool, that doesn't guarantee you're saving anything. You've got to use the tool
Right.
properly. And to do so, you need somebody trained in how to use it properly. And it unfortunately is a case where most of the time it's not done. People need to know how to use the tool. Don't just give them the tool and say, drink from the fire hose. Give them the tool, give them the training, and say, oh, okay, now I understand how to use it and how it's going to save us money, and it will pay itself back.
And I think a lot of times people get blinders on within their technology. Um, I can't use the example I want to, because I already promised you earlier I wouldn't use alignment again. So
Yeah.
now I have to come up with
All
another one.
right, be
But
careful.
I'm treading lightly. But you have to look at it more, full scope, because you see a lot of guys that it's like, we're going to do this task, whatever it may be, and we're going to make sure this task checks all the boxes, and we get, thumbs up, green stars, smiley faces, whatever the case may be, indicating we did a great job.
Yeah,
But any process, any production, any piece of equipment, any system, whatever, is only going to be as strong as its weakest link.
yeah,
And if you did the most amazing thermography survey the world has ever seen, and go back with a detailed report, top to bottom, 800 pages long with grave details, but while you were walking out doing this mechanical thermography survey, you saw Well, this pump doesn't have any oil in it because the sight glass is broke. Well, it didn't show up on thermal, so
Yeah.
we still have to address, get out of this blinder thing. These people do that, and not only within their technologies, but I've noticed over the years, people do that with PDM routes and PM routes
Yeah.
because they'll go out and they're so focused on checking those boxes on the
Yeah.
clipboard or collecting the data on the data collector or whatever, they're completely overlooking the fact the pecker head cover's fallen off and there's water running right into the junction box. I mean,
Sorry, what's
we've
that mean?
seen stuff like
The
what?
what?
What? Oh yeah, I'm sorry, peckerhead. I said peckerhead. I can't do
Yeah.
that.
Careful,
But
PC.
and you
Motor
go out there
junction
and you
box for
see
this.
motor junction box, sorry. But you get like water process lines, they have zip tied or process water lines, excuse me. They've got zip tied off to, a piece of all thread,
Yeah.
just dousing a bearing with water to keep
Yeah.
it cool.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't we just fix the underlying problem?
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress and I feel like we've got off topic. So I want to ask, just so everyone can get to know us.
Yep.
And I think that's really what it's all about. So how long have we known one another? 10 years?
Um, how long? What'd you say?
10 years?
Probably.
10.
Yeah. I want to say.
9 years?
I want to say at least 10. Yeah, probably 10.
Well, because I remember when I first met you, I bought my house in March of 2014. So
Okay.
that'd be 11 and a half years ago, ballpark,
Oh my God. Has
right?
it been that long? Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair
And
enough.
I remember when I met you, you came over here to my house
Yep.
because you just moved up from Wichita.
Just moved
And I
back.
remember I talked to you on the phone a few times. We'd emailed and text and whatnot. And I remember you pulled in that Ford pickup of yours, and you
Hey,
pulled into my driveway,
still got it.
jumped out of the truck. Yeah, you do. It's a great truck. And I was sitting out front. And I remember when you pulled in, I'm like, oh, he's here. And I stood up and you hopped out of the truck. And my first thought was, damn, that dude's short. I was
Oh,
expecting
thanks.
like this larger than life guy
Okay. Yeah.
and like this
Wow.
little 5'6" Brett Scott hops
Yeah.
out of the truck, and I'm like,
Well, is it John Mayer that says I'm bigger than my body? That's me. I'm bigger than my body. A
at
quote
least
from
you
John
found.
Mayer, which one of my favorites. So yeah,
Then it has to
uh,
be true because John Mayer said
exactly.
it.
If he said it, it's
Should
good.
we get
Yeah. What
WWJMD
would John
bracelets
Mayer? Yeah,
made?
exactly. I think so. Yeah, I think that's fair. But no, I do.
But
I remember that, and yeah, it was.
it was probably 9, 10 years ago, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
it's been quite a while. But no, good point. That's the point of this is let's get to know. So in the future, what we plan to do is besides just talking to each other, is talk to some guests. But since we're here together, we want to ask each other questions too that we might ask our guests. And the one I wanted to ask you was, which I kind of find fun, is what was the first technology or tool that you picked up that got you into PDM?
So technology or tool, it would have been vibration.
Okay.
Um, so like I mentioned earlier, my dad worked for Cargill for 21-ish years. I think it was '05 he retired. Don't quote me on that. I think it was '05.
Fair enough.
And when he retired, he did a few different things, and they were all still in the reliability field. And then he went to work for an independent company here in my hometown and started a reliability program because they wanted to start getting into this. Well, they had purchased a Vibe Expert 2.
Yeah.
This is not a sales pitch. I'm just telling you what it
I've
is.
used it
He
before.
bought a Vibe,
Decent tool.
purchased a Vibe Expert 2 off of Ludeca down in Miami
Okay.
to get start this program up because they didn't have a vibration or excuse me reliability program at all. So they bought this tool. Well, with the purchase of the tool, they got a free Cat 1 Vibe certification. They were running
Uh,
some kind of promo
yeah,
at
of
the time.
course.
Now, I was at the time, like I said, I'd worked in the auto industry forever. I'd got sick of it, and I was in that find myself period of my life. And I was driving a delivery semi for Coca-Cola.
Okay.
And my dad called me and said, hey, hold on, I got to shut my window here. These flies are getting a little out of control in the room. So my dad had just called and said, hey, I got this free Cat 1 certification. And my dad was already a Cat 3 analyst. He clearly doesn't need it. And at the time, it was a brand new program. He's got no employees. So he said, if you would like to take this course, you can go out to Fort Collins, Colorado. It was Pioneer Engineering at the time.
Yep.
Now it's
Red Wolf, I
Red
think.
Red Wolf
I
Law
think
or
so.
Red Wolf. Yeah. Mitch Stanzlowski was my instructor. Remember it well. And he said, if you want to take this, you can go out there and do it. So we were talking about prep courses. So my dad had given me I still have it in here somewhere. I'd have to dig it out. But the Cat 1 TA book,
Oh
the
yeah.
binder that he had from years ago. And he said, here, study this. So I did. So I spent like 3 months studying this thing and learning that thing, you know, and I found it absolutely interesting. Now, I had never actually touched a tool in my life
Sure.
to this point. I'm just getting ready for the class. So I end up going out to Fort Collins. My dad's brother lived in Fort Collins, so I had a free place to stay. The
Can't beat
stars
that.
aligned.
Yeah.
So I'm staying with my uncle, go out, take the course. There was 18 guys in the class. There was one reliability engineer, me, and 16 field mechanics.
Ah,
The reliability engineer aced the test.
sure.
I got 49 out of 50.
Oh,
And there was a handful of those guys that didn't even pass it. And they were asking me, they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I drive a Coke truck. They're
yeah.
like,
They're
the
like,
hell are you doing
that
here?
doesn't
And I'm
add
like,
up. Yeah.
they're like, this doesn't add up. And I'm like, I just spent the last 3 months cramming for this test. And they're like, it's not a test, it's a class.
Yeah.
You're coming here to learn. And when I went in there, in my mind, looking back, I felt like I was ready for Cat 3 because
Yeah.
the stuff that they're teaching, it's like,
Yeah.
this is child's
This is
play.
easy.
So anyway, long and short, we ended up starting our own family company, Low Reliability Service. I was getting into the field, and we were still using that Vibe Expert too. So that was really my first foray with reliability, and then I transitioned over to the VB7s, VB5s. I really became a Comtest guy. I loved Comtest. Um, Used it for a
Me
long
too.
time. I still own four of them. They're right over there on the shelf if you can see them.
Awesome.
Um, they don't get used anymore, but they're still there because
Hey,
you
if
never know,
anybody
you
wants to
know?
buy a contest, you know where to get
Yeah, I
one.
got a few extra ones for sale. They might be a little beat up, but they still work. But no,
Good
I
news.
and that was really my first. And then and you know how it goes, Brett. From there, you start off with that technology. Next thing you know, you're doing
Oh
ultrasonic
yeah.
lubrication. Next thing you know, you're doing this,
It's a
and
it's a
now
gateway drug.
it is. And
Yeah.
now I would actually, if anything, and I know it's not technically one of the five primaries, but if anything, I would call myself a reliability or I don't know why I say that, an alignment SME.
Sure.
That's really what I focus on now. Now, sure, I still dabble in vibration. I've been
Yeah.
sitting here looking at data off and on throughout the
Family of one.
evening, doing some stuff. Yeah, so I'm still doing analysis and stuff like that for people. I just um you get a little older, get a little fatter, you get sick of climbing the ladders.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
um I really like this. So Brett, I won't ask you I'm not going to ask you the same question
Oh
unless you
man, I
want me
was
to.
ready for that. But no, no,
All
go
right.
ahead. Whatever you
But
bring it.
so with your training, because you've been doing training for 20 years, ballpark?
Uh that seems a long time, but I am getting old, so I want to say
Yeah.
2012 is when I started.
Okay.
So 2012, yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite and least favorite part of your job?
Favorite is I feel like when I get in front of a class, it's kind of like doing my own stand-up thing. It really is. I love entertaining people, and I love also seeing people when they make the connection, when I'm able to put some kind of difficult idea in front of them and they learn it.
Mhm.
I love that part. So my favorite part is seeing people make the connection when I'm able to say something that makes them make the connection and they understand something that's not a terribly easy concept to learn. That's one of my favorite things. So I teach Cat 1 and Cat 2 currently, like vibration classes. I also teach
Vibration. Okay.
lubrication classes. Yeah, vibration. I also teach lubrication classes. So seeing people make the connections when I'm able to make the connection for them so that they can understand stuff, that's my favorite. Least
Okay.
favorite, I suppose, is I'm away from family quite a bit because I'm on the road quite a bit doing this training. That part kind of
Right.
sucks. But I also have kids that are adults, so it's not like they're
Well,
missing.
they're of adult age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kids, yeah. Do I call them
I
kids?
don't know if I'd call them adults. They're of
Yeah.
adult
Well,
age.
that's true. I don't even know. Maturity level, that's a totally different thing. But being away from home, I mean, I'm on the road quite a bit. That kind of sucks. But it kind of, it's a trade off too, though, because I meet all these new
Sure.
people. And like this week, the 10 people I'm training this week, super people. I get to see people from different walks of life, different,
Yeah.
you know, like basically industries and stuff. And we get to trade information. So even though I'm teaching, you still, that's why I say there's no such thing as a damn expert, because as long as I've been doing this, I'll meet people that have done things I haven't done. And I'm like, man, I just learned something from you. I'm teaching you a lot of stuff, but you just taught me something because you come from different industries. If you think you know what's going on, wait till you travel the world and start seeing other industries and other people.
Yeah.
You're going to learn stuff. And that's also, so that's a negative, but yet it's also a positive. But
And they say the best way to learn is to teach.
yeah,
And I truly believe that.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
me
run
too.
into that. And the traveling, and like you said, it's a negative and a positive. It's kind of funny because reliability, like the people within reliability, and us being Midwest based, I mean, I know we're on the road a lot, but being out here in the Midwest, we all know the same people for the most part. And, it's a tight knit group of guys. And there's not that many guys and gals, and there's not that many. I mean, I can't say guys because Angie will kick my ass if she hears me say that.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, we should have Angie on.
Yep, that's gonna be
Angie, if
that's
you're
a guess.
listening, you're on here.
Yep, that's a guess.
We can learn everything oil from that woman.
Yep.
But um, anyway, it's like some of the things that you get to do and see. So this week, I just got back late last night. I was on the road for a couple days, and I had to go. I started in Iowa Falls, Iowa, went over to Fort Dodge, then traveled over to a little town, Denison, over in the northwest part of the
Familiar.
state.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Denison, I highly recommend that town.
I
It's like 8,500 people. I was pulling into town and I never book my hotel rooms until I'm like 20 minutes out because I can get
oh my
rerouted
God.
last minute.
You're
So,
you like the risk, don't you? I
oh,
don't like
dude,
that. I like to have a
I live on
planned
the fucking
schedule. Oh
edge.
my gosh. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Well, good for you.
so
But
I'm
go ahead.
rolling into Denison at like maybe 3:30 Monday night or Monday afternoon, not night. I'm like, well, I'm going to find a hotel. So typically when I'm on the road this time of year, it's like, we'll go find a hotel. I'm going to go play a round of golf because the options are that or sit in a bar,
Yeah.
may as well go do something. So I found a Candlewood over there. And normally I'm an IHG guy,
Yeah. You
but
get your points. Sure.
I get my points. I got my, I'm whatever diamond reserve or whatever. I
Yeah.
like the status. So I went with Candlewood because that's all they had available. And I pull in and I'm like, I'm going to go find a golf course, pull into the place. It sits in the middle of a golf course.
Perfect.
Like the building shared. But anyway, Denison, great town, great people. Had to do some training actually over there at an ethanol plant. It was awesome. I mean, the people couldn't have been nicer. So you get to see a lot of cool things on the road. I mean, I've got to walk on the yellow brick road in Liberal, Kansas. Not a lot of people can say they've done that. I got to climb inside the world's largest cast iron frying pan in Brandon, Iowa. Not something that a lot of guys can say they've done. I
No.
just saw the world's largest popcorn ball last week in Sac City. So you get
Yeah.
to see some cool stuff. And I always think back to that time that, and I don't remember the name of the town. Brett, you were teaching class in, was it Mexico, Missouri?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Mexico, Missouri.
And I was in, I don't know,
Yeah.
Washington, Missouri or
Just north
something.
of there a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and we just so happened to find ourselves at the same hotel overnight. And it's like, well,
Right.
hey, let's go grab a beer. And we found those were the best
Oh
barbecue wings
yeah.
that I've ever had.
Well, we had
And then they had
smoked pecan pie. Is that
smoked
right?
pecan
Smoked. Oh
pie.
my gosh, and it was amazing.
I don't remember what that place was even called, but we
I don't
need to
even.
find it again. But it's things like that that I look, it's like, yes,
Yeah.
the traveling sucks,
Yeah,
like you alluded to,
but
and
there's
you're
so
not
many
wrong.
positive things too.
And we get great stories out of it. And speaking of traveling, so next was what we decide Monday night?
I think so.
Monday
Cedar
night,
Rapids.
Brett and I. are just happening to cross paths in Cedar Rapids. So we're going to be at the same hotel. So I think we might even have to record another podcast.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, for sure.
We'll get a few bourbons and do that. But
Absolutely.
all that said, I mean, we do have some really great guests come up. I don't want to throw the names out there yet, just because we want to make sure everything
Let's
gets
not
lined
jinx
up
it.
and going.
Yeah, let's not jinx
Yeah,
it.
we don't jinx it, but we have some great people in the industry that have tons of experience, um, more than us even. The next guy we're gonna have coming on is it's gonna be an interesting conversation to say the least.
Well,
He's
and we should say too, to anybody that would happen to be listening, which who would that be? I don't know yet, but let's
yeah,
see.
probably
But
no one,
if
probably no one. We're
somebody's
just talking to
listening
ourselves.
and you're like, hey, I want to be on this podcast, reach out to us, which
So
I
it's
think you're going to provide some information for us.
I'm gonna do my best to get up on the screen, but
And
I'm not
maybe
a
it's going to
great
happen
video
right
editor
now.
yet.
Maybe it's going to be
Yeah,
right
do we
here.
just do this or
Yeah, I don't know.
it's
But yeah,
reliabilityu@gmail.com.
yeah. Reach
So
out.
just the letter U,
You want to
letter
talk
U,
to us, you want to be on here,
reliabilityu@gmail.com.
this is the place to do it.
Give a shout. Yeah, because we would love to talk to more and more people. Um, and and like I mentioned earlier, we have a pretty deep reach of people that we know within the industry,
Yeah.
but we don't know them all. I don't know them all. You don't know them all. I
No.
want to meet some new people,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
bring them into this whole conversation. I know I've talked to a lot of people that have said, and I've even had people now just talking about the podcast. I've had people say, it's like, well, what do I have to do to get on it? And I'm like,
Nothing.
text me,
Yeah.
literally, just text me. It's
Basically,
not that
just
hard.
say you want to,
Yeah, we'll
and we'll
get
see.
you. We'll get you in line. Actually, that happened about an hour before I jumped on this thing.
Perfect.
Tyler Burns.
Okay, yeah.
Tyler's like, "Oh, you're doing a podcast tonight? Can I be on it?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well,
Tyler
not
better be on.
tonight,
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah.
100% you can be on it. We'd love to have you on it." Um, and he brings a whole different, whatever you want to call it, different vision or a different angle
Right.
to things. So I think it's great that we're going to be getting these people on here. And ultimately, I mentioned earlier, I play in a band. Played in a band
Good
for
band, by the way.
nah, it's a band. But I played in a band for 18, 19 years now. And I always surround myself with musicians better than me because it forces
You
me
to
to
be
be
better.
you know, a better musician.
Yeah.
I always also surround myself with better golfers than me. Not by choice, it's just because I suck at golf. But dude, for being 4 foot tall, you can smoke a driver. That's all I'm saying.
Uh,
But
I'm not four
but
foot
I
tall. I promise you. But go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
stand up, do a little spin for
No,
us.
no, no. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm
Maybe
kidding.
maybe next
But
time.
maybe next time. But that's one thing I want to do on this podcast as well, is I want to bring on people, and it doesn't take much, but I want to bring on people that know more than we do. And
Yeah.
even if we don't bring on the jack of all trades, we bring on the jack of one trade and the master of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Let's do
that
that.
would be great. The Howard Penroses of the world. Nobody
Which,
knows
by the way, that's
more.
an invite to Howard.
That's an invite to Howard, but nobody knows more about his field than Howard
Yeah,
Penrose.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I would like to. I mean, he would be the guy that Rick would be calling from the pawn shop when somebody tried slinging a motor dock.
Yeah, right.
It's like, let's get. I'm not saying people are selling motor docks at pawn shops in Vegas, but if they were,
Yeah.
he's the expert, right? So anyway, that's kind of where we're looking at. So please, reach out. Hope you guys enjoyed this. It's been fun talking with you guys. Brett, thanks for jumping on tonight. I know it's always a
Thanks,
pain in the
everybody.
ass when we're on the road,
Yeah.
but we'll see you in the next episode with a guest.
Thanks, guys.
All right. All right. Signing off. See ya.